Hi everybody. It has been an experience growing in these raised garden beds. So in today's garden tour, I want to walk you through all that I've learned and prepare you, hopefully, give you all the checklist items that you need in order for you to successfully grow in a raised garden. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so if you are new here, I am located in Zone 7B in Southern Maryland, and we have 8 of the large, extra tall Birdie's Red raised beds. They're 29 inches tall because we don't want to hurt our backs when we get older. The middle row are 4 mediums. Actually, those are 4 small. 4 small beds that are also 29 inches tall. The large ones are 8 by 4 and the small ones are 4 by 3. I think I got that right. So 12 in total. Okay, we're going to start off in the cucumber bed and we'll walk through this side of the garden, but I want to give you guys the first thing that I've learned about having a raised garden. Watering in general is always going to be a problem when you're gardening. Well, I won't say it's a problem. It's always going to be a responsibility, a chore. It's something that you cannot overlook. And when it comes to raised gardens and containers, it is all the more crucial because they dry out extremely fast. In the in-ground garden, yes, we do have to water from time to time, but those plants don't dry out nearly as fast as they do in the raised garden. So we'll walk through this side of the garden, but I want to show you guys the irrigation that we have set up. I highly recommend getting an irrigation setup installed if you're going to garden in raised beds. Number one is because it is an efficient way to deliver water to the roots of your plants instead of just spraying sprinkler water all over the leaves and the leaves getting diseased. Also, it's because you can set it up on a timer so that your plants are automatically watered without your input. Although I do like to still keep an eye on how much your plants get watered due to the rain, thunderstorms, things like that. But I highly recommend having some sort of automated watering system. That way your raised garden is not getting super duper dry in the very hot summer. Okay, so this is the start of the irrigation. We have a hose, a spigot for each of the beds. So this is for the right side. This one is for the actual left side. In the middle we haven't done yet, so we're going to finish up the middle. But these black hoses go, don't mind the grass, we just got the grass, but they go to each of the beds there. So this is one problem, is the weeds here. But then there's like a right angle connector here that we just stick down in the ground, and we did more hose up here and another right angle connector. This is a spigot to either turn this on or off. The one flaw about this little temporary ad hoc design we have is that if I turn this off, all of the beds will be turned off. Or if I turn off that middle one, the last bed down there would be turned off. So you have to strategize. For instance, if you're planting onions and you want to stop watering the onions when it's time to harvest, but you want to water everything else, you kind of have to think about how to maneuver that. So keep that in your planning. But this is the spigot that'll turn on and off. And then we have these little drip lines that go right through the bed. So there are 4, one for each foot. And these actually are the 9-inch drips, but I recommend going with the 6-inch. So these beds have the 9-inch, those beds over there have the 6-inch, and we definitely prefer the 6-inch. All right, we also have a connector here, so we put a little hole there so that we can have a drip line for any of, like, if we have any containers that need water. So at one point we had containers right here, and so we can turn this on, and any container right there would then be watered. We plan to do the same for this bed over here once we do this middle row. So that is a synopsis of the drip irrigation. I'll leave all the products in the description because obviously I don't know technically what each of these different hoses are called because my husband bought them, but I definitely helped him put this together. So make sure you also buy a lot of stakes when you're doing this method. And I recommend adding a timer. So we do have a timer, but we just haven't added it yet. A few other points before I shut up about drip irrigation, but this red connector controls how much water is allowed to flow through these hoses. So it allows 2 gallons per hour, and usually we let it run for a few hours, and that's enough time, and we cut it off. So the other thing is, we go over here at the end of each of these hoses. Let's go over here. At the end of each of these hoses, we have a little black end cap so that it stops the flow of water. So each of those has one. Then, ooh, look how pretty that is. It's a new day. At the end of this bed here, since this is the last bed in the row, we have a little in hose thing here, so it stops the flow of water at the end of this row here of beds. And Tim is also going to be using some silicone something that's going to actually help keep the hose like attached to the bed. All right, I think I covered everything for drip irrigation. You can see from bed to bed we just have more of that black hose. All right, let's get back to it. So these are the Itachi cucumbers, and also the Boston pickling cucumbers that you can see here. And we'll harvest these before we go into the house. So that those are the cucumbers. We also have some more snapdragon. These are Roma tomatoes that I planted very late. At this point, when you're planting things like in August, it's like a Hail Mary, like you're just trying to get as much as you can. This flower has really established itself and it looks really good. We had a squash here that got eaten up by vine borers. So we took that out and I'll replace it with something else. These are onions that I planted earlier in the season that didn't get that big, but we're gonna let them keep growing. On this side, I have a watermelon, and it's actually growing a little baby watermelon here. This is a cow bush sweet watermelon. I think cow stands for California, but this has been pretty healthy with the exception of what's going on up here, but it's been pretty healthy. Don't mind my little strawberry garden there. Here is some thyme that has really been showing out and spreading its wings in this corner of the bed, and leeks that I just stuck in there because I had to stick them in before the time ran out. So this is a bit of an experiment, and they are growing. We have some calendula, because you have to have flowers in every bed to bring the bees, even though the flowers are a little bit sporadic. There's some marjoram here, more calendula, and we're back to the cucumbers. All right, so let's harvest these cucumbers. The other thing I've learned while raised gardening is that you need to fertilize. When you're gardening in the ground and your plants are tapping into the natural resources of your soil, you can kind of wing it a little bit. But with the raised garden, there is no winging it. I have to fertilize these plants or they will suffer. It is one of those, you get out what you put in. So once those plants have used up all those nutrients in the soil, you need to replenish them. You need to put more back into the soil, whether that's using compost. We use fish fertilizer. I'll show a snapshot of what that looks like, because the bottle we've had for so long, and the label is a little it's a little worn down. We also use a solo backpack to spray that on the roots of our plants. I'll show you guys the solo backpack in a second, and I'll link both of those in the description below. But you don't have to use fish fertilizer. You can use like a composting strategy. We have actually committed to composting next year. So we've tried it in the past and have not been successful at it, but we're going to commit to it because we know not only will that improve our soil, but it will save us money. And also we get to utilize things that can be utilized for some good. So that is the second thing that I will say about raised gardening, is that you definitely cannot skip the fertilizer. Okay, real quick before I show you guys what's in this garden bed, this is the solo backpack that I was talking about. This is the 4-gallon backpack, and I would say that if you are a smaller build, you may want to go with the 2 gallons because it can get really heavy. But we've been using this for a couple of years. We used it over in the flower garden when it was actually doing something. But this is the fish fertilizer mix. It is very stinky. It smells very fishy, but it is effective. So there's that. But let's go ahead and get into this garden bed. So we have a lot of sweet basil. I froze a lot of basil last week, and lemon juice and olive oil and garlic, so we can use that for cooking in the wintertime. This is the lettuce leaf basil. It actually does look like lettuce. This is the regular old-fashioned sweet basil, and we have peppers back here that actually, when I harvest these peppers, we'll harvest them now, but when I harvest them, I'm going to kind of stake them up a little bit as they're flopping over. So these are the Doe d'Espagne peppers. This is an Ajvarski pepper, or is it a poblano? It might be a poblano. This is a poblano, so we'll harvest a couple of these. These are some lettuces that are kind of either going to seed or just seeded. We have green onions here, one of my favorite things to grow. And we also have a zinnia that has grown nice and tall and beautiful. So that's this side. Let's walk over to the other side. This is a watermelon doing exactly what I hoped it would do, which is sprawling across the landscape fabric. This one is a Moon and Stars watermelon. You can tell by the leaves. It has the moon and star leaves. We also have a California Wonder Pepper on this side. These Black Hungarian wax peppers are now just starting to flower again. We got a nice harvest off of these earlier in the season. These are banana peppers that I will need to grab because they're a little overripe. And these are the Asante peppers. These are supposed to be really spicy. So we'll either dry those or we will make like a hot sauce or something with those. On the back side, we have okra. So all behind the peppers, there's okra. Here's a little preview of what the okra is looking like. We have been eating lots and lots of okra, but let's go ahead and get these peppers so we can move on to the next bed. I am hating the smell of this fish fertilizer. I always do. It smells extremely fishy. But let me know if you're using fish fertilizer. If you're using compost, what works best for your garden. Maybe I'll give it a try. So I've been trying to get the sunflowers within the shot, but they are so tall. So we'll get to those in a second, but I want to tell you guys the third thing that I've learned about raised gardening, and that is going back to, you get out what you put in, the soil will sink. So if you are using like light and airy raised gardening soil that is probably like not of the highest quality, you will probably see more sinkage. We see more sinkage in the beds that we use bag soil for than the beds that we use like mostly like topsoil compost 50-50 mix. But nonetheless, all of the beds have sunk a lot, and we filled it up. We thought we filled it up pretty high, at least good enough, but no. So make sure you are aware of the quality of soil that you're putting into the beds. Like, is it dense? Will it retain a lot of moisture? Is it too airy? Is it too much wood in there? And also you have to fill it up to the top. That way you still have enough room for your plants to grow roots. So this was a big problem that we really weren't expecting to have. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what it looks like. I did this whole scene and I wasn't recording. All right, so here on this side of the bed, I'm going to show you guys the sinkage. You can see here, like in the cracks of the bed, how that soil is sinking. And when we first filled it up, we filled it up to about this line right here. We're trying to move the irrigation. So about right there. So it's sank about this much since we put soil in, which is devastating because soil is money. Unless you are making your own compost, which we have not started yet, compost is money. So we will be filling these up again more than we thought we were. Obviously, you have to backfill these beds. You have to refertilize them in the fall, add compost and all that. But this is a little bit more than I was expecting. We also have our Thai basil here that's growing in this bed. We removed all of the bush beans that were here, at least the tops of them, because they are natural fertilizers, nitrogen fixers. So we'll replant this with something else. We have these beautiful Mongolian giant sunflowers that this one here thinks it's the star of the show. It decided it needs to stand out. Tim thinks those look very alien-like. But we will be harvesting these for sunflower seeds. Hopefully, if the birds don't get them to them before we do. As you can see here, the sunflower seeds are starting to mature. So if you haven't never seen where the seeds come from in the sunflower, that's your answer right there. You just remove those little thingies there. All right, on the back side of this would be the beans. So the Chinese red noodle beans, we've left some so that we can use them for like black-eyed pea style beans. So we've let some of them dry. We also have the green yard-long beans in here that we are letting some dry. But we've got so many beans. On the other side, or let me just kind of go through here, we still have the Carminat pole beans. I actually like these beans. I just don't like the fact that the plant struggles. I mean, it's not productive. Even in the other garden, this Carminat bean is the only pole bean that's really not producing as much. But you can see the yard-long beans and the red noodle beans and these Kentucky Wonder beans are doing really well. I did come and harvest the lima beans we had. More beans. I did come and harvest the lima beans. There weren't a lot. So I think next year I'll probably do a whole row of lima beans so that we have enough to actually do something with. But it was really a good experience growing the lima beans. But now it's all about harvesting these. So I'll harvest this. Before I do that, this is the crooked neck yellow squash that we've been harvesting from. Another Mongolian giant sunflower. We took out the corn that was back here, and I have to get these banana peppers. There are a few different peppers back here. This is the Zulu pepper, and we've been harvesting off of those too. The Roma tomato is looking great. We see a lot of Roma tomatoes on all of our plants, so happy to see that. We also have a pretty little petite sunflower, so we'll continue to let those shine. But in general, this is all about the beans. So I am going to go ahead and harvest these beans. Oh, real quick, The trellises, since I'm trying to give you guys all you need to know, I will link to the trellises that we used for this. We actually just went to Tractor Supply store. We also have T-posts back here, and these T-posts come with the clamps. So I'll also link the T-post below. That way you guys know exactly what we use to trellis this beautiful, or to create this beautiful trellis. The landscape fabric, make sure you use heavy duty landscape fabric because you don't want to have to deal with all the ripping, and not ripping and running, it's just ripping and ripping. So definitely use heavy duty. I will link some landscape fabric down for you guys below. The landscape fabric we have out here is not heavy duty, and we regret that. We thought it was, but it's really not. So I will link to you. So I'll link you guys with the landscape fabric that we used in the in-ground garden, because that is heavy duty and it's lasted a very long time. Okay, so let me start harvesting these beans. I'm noticing that the plants are watering me on my shirt, so it's not sweat, it's water from the plants. So I have mentioned a few things about the raised garden that may kind of come off as negative, but I promise you they're not. Just making you guys aware. Yes, you will need to fertilize. Yes, you need to be on top of watering. And yes, your soil will sink over time. But there are a lot of pros as well. So I'm excited at the fact that I don't have to weed nearly as much as I have to in the in-ground garden. These beds get a minuscule amount of weeds, and you could just simply pull them out and toss them and you're good to go. So that is the top, by far the best benefit of having the raised garden. Not to mention that I'm not digging in the ground, doing all that back work. So that's also a great thing. The other pro is that it looks so organized. I mean, look how organized it looks with the trellises and just the green all over the place. It helps you to enjoy the garden a lot more. So yes, it is very pretty. And the last thing is that it's kind of tying back to the thing I said about what you get out, what you put in. That's also kind of a benefit because you have control over the soil that's going into your beds, and you can improve upon that. You have some flexibility there. You could try some things out in specific beds and things like that. So I actually like that side of it. The cons come down to money. It's expensive to buy these beds. It's expensive to fill the beds. But once you pay for that initial cost of buying and filling them, the costs go down. It's simple fertilizer and refreshing your beds in the fall. So with the exception of this massive refresh we'll have to do to bring the soil level up in the beds. But that is really the con for me, is the price. But we think it's worth it. It's an investment, and we'll get better at composting with time. We'll get better at managing these beds with time. And hopefully, you know, it'll be worth it. This bed, strangely, doesn't have that much sinkage compared to some of the other beds. So that definitely is a result of me probably using more of the topsoil compost mix, 50-50 mix in this bed, because it's probably more dense. But I didn't mention that one of the other sides of raised gardening is the fact that it takes a lot to fill these things up. So it takes a lot of labor, especially if you don't have any farming equipment and tractors and things like that. If you're using just wheelbarrows, like how we use to fill these things up, it is going to take a lot of effort. So just keep that in mind. Even just screwing all these things in. I mean, look how many screws are in these garden beds. It took a lot of time. So we actually started putting these together when it was still really cold outside. But you just want to keep that in mind. Maybe start off with a bundle of 4 or just a couple, and do it that way versus getting a whole bunch of them at one time and filling them up all at one time, because we were definitely over it by the time this all was said and done. Let's go ahead and walk down the middle here. On this side, we have the zinnias that are growing in the middle of this bed, and we have dragon tongue bush beans that are growing around the zinnias. So we still have a few months left in the season, so I'm still expecting to have new things start to become productive and ready for harvest. So these dragon beans included. We also have this lush sweet potato. I mean, look how amazing and romantic this sweet potato trellis is. It is really going crazy. It's forming a carpet over the landscape fabric, which we really love. It's starting to go to flower, but we'll be harvesting some sweet potatoes probably October, November. We could probably try some out now, but I don't want to do that just yet, because once I start, I can't stop. So this is all sweet potatoes, the North Beauregard. I forget every single time, but we grew them last year and they were pretty good. So there you go. Marvel at the sweet potato trellis. On this side, this bed has marigolds, and we tossed in some watermelon that we had in the other garden that wasn't growing that well. And now I can see this is actually bouncing back. So again, the soil, look at it, it's drastic sinkage, but we will fill it back up. We have some Roma tomatoes, and so this one is actually a mortgage lifter potato and a Russian tomato, and it's kind of gone crazy. So I do need to prune these, number one, and then stake them after I prune them. It's getting dark, so I'm going to hurry up. I always do these videos when it's about to get dark. Over here in Southern Maryland, tomato season is just pumping up, unless you are like way earlier at gardening than I am. We are just now starting to get our bumper crop of ripe tomatoes. So we will be harvesting some tomatoes off of these beds. This bed is the drastic soil ridden or horrible soil bed. Even though we still have some things growing, we have some serrano peppers in here, some Tabasco peppers, some stevia. But as you can see, this bed compared to those beds, it's a huge stark difference. I mean, look at how yellow these leaves are compared to the green leaves that we see over there. So this is an example of why fertilizing consistently is important. Even though the soil has sunk in this bed a lot, because we have been fertilizing recently to learn from the lesson that we've gathered from this experience, we have seen that the plants are still surviving. So we do have some tomatoes that are bouncing back, but they were struggling earlier in the season in this bed. So we have some San Marzanos. This one is struggling. Look at that. And these are some early girl tomatoes. So I did come through and prune a couple of weeks ago, and I still have some pruning and staking to do. This bed looks so much better. This looks embarrassing. This looks awesome. So these are marigolds. They grow really well with tomatoes. I have a mix of different tomatoes in here. We have the pineapple tomato. This one is actually Earl's Faux tomato. It's split because we had some rain earlier today and yesterday, so I'll take that. This is the pineapple tomato, and this one actually smells really good too. When you cut it open, I mean, it smells like a tomato, but it's pretty strong. This one is a Boondocks tomato. Again, it rained yesterday. It rained earlier today, so there is some splitting happening here. So we'll grab all of these. This one is a Alpaca tomato, so it looks kind of like a San Marzano, a paste tomato. I like growing a lot of paste tomatoes for sauces. These are, I thought they were black strawberry, but they might be sweetheart cherries. I think they're black strawberries though, but we've been using these for salads. So these are pretty. And then this, I don't know what this is actually. Let's see, what is this? This is I lost the tag in there somewhere, but I'll find it. I'll try to find it. But that's another paste-like tomato. Looks like an ox heart type tomato. Okay, on the back end of this, we have some zinnias. We have cinnamon basil growing amongst the zinnias. We have tomato vines that need to be staked. And we have lots of carrots back here. So we had onions. Well, we still have onions back here. They really didn't grow to their full potential. They've already died back here, as you can see. So I'll pull this one. Yeah, so they didn't really grow as big as I was hoping. But I did grow these from sets. So I was expecting that they weren't going to get that big, because the seeds I planted this season, I mean, if you watch my videos, you know that the thunderstorm kind of just ruined it for me. So these are sets. I will come through and get these onions, probably not today because it's starting to get dark. But I will do maybe a carrot and onion harvest, because we do have some beef bones and we want to make some bone broth, some stock. So these are the tomatoes. I mean, look at that. I just love how it just climbs up the top like that. On the other side, there is some more basil. So tomatoes and basil go together. We eat them together. So we've been picking these, more lettuce leaf basil on this side. Here are, in this bed, we have more calendula and leeks. It took me forever to figure out what these were because I lost the plant tag. But these are all leeks. I actually put unknown onions on there. But now we know that they're leeks. And we have okra. These are Clemson spineless okra. And this is a red burgundy okra. It's a nice sturdy plant, this one. Next year, I'm going to plant my okra in these beds instead of that one that has like the fencing stake in the middle, because they don't need a trellis. They're very strong. I don't even know why I planted those there. I've grown okra for many years. I don't know why I put them there, but you can see how sturdy this red burgundy okra is. And underneath, it's all peanuts. So all that green under here are peanuts, and they'll grow right under the soil so that I can make some boiled peanuts come harvest time. We also have some shishito peppers in here. I'll probably grab a few of these as well. And these actually replace the kale. So in this bed, we initially had like Romanesco cauliflower and kale. We pulled that out. We replaced it with the okra, the peanuts, and the shishito peppers. Okay, last bed, and we can grab the rest of these vegetables. We have carrots in here. Originally, we had dino kale. This bed had too much wood chips in it. So that's the reason why this one looks like it's struggling, bouncing back a little bit as well. This is holy basil. So we've used that for tea. We also have red bell peppers back here and jalapeno peppers. So all these peppers you're seeing, here's jalapeno peppers and some red bell peppers. We also have leeks on the back end here, but they don't look as good as the ones we have in the other bed. So that is the overall tour. I'm going to hop to harvesting those tomatoes, maybe a couple of carrots and a couple of onions, and any peppers that we may see. So let's go ahead and do that now. I almost forgot these guys. So let's go ahead and grab these. Again, it's getting dark, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I absolutely love growing in raised garden beds, even though it's a bit of a learning curve, because if you're not as disciplined, like I'm not that disciplined, I am kind of a float in the wind, see how it goes type of gardener. That doesn't necessarily work in this case. So this is teaching me to be a more disciplined gardener, and it's giving me the beauty that I'm seeking, the organization that I'm seeking. So I think overall it is worth the money, if you can. Now, if you can't afford it, gardening in the ground, there's nothing wrong with that. Gardening in containers is highly effective, so go that route. But if you do have the option of raised bed gardening, the weeds alone, to me, it just makes it so worth it. So let me know in the comments, if you guys are raised gardening, how's the experience going for you? Do you prefer growing in the ground or in other containers and grow bags? Let me know deep down in the comments. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe. If you've watched a few videos and you like them, go ahead and subscribe, but don't subscribe if you don't if you don't want to watch the videos. But if you like it, go ahead and like it. Keep moving on. But I welcome anybody to the channel. I can't wait to see you guys in the next video. And if you want to see what it looked like back in July or back in June or May, then go ahead and click on this video right here, or this playlist, and you can see all of the trials and tribulations of this summer. I hope to see you guys again soon. Bye.